Refreshing wild cherry cola meets smooth cream. The treat you deserve. Pepsi Wild Cherry and Cream. Treat yourself.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Zootopia 2 has come home to Disney+.
Let's go!
Get ready for a new case.
We're the greatest partners of all time!
New friends.
Gary the Snake.
And your last name?
The Snake.
Dream Team. Hit new habitats.
Zootopia has a secret reptile population.
You can watch the record-breaking phenomenon at home. Zootopia 2, now available on Disney+, rated PG. And right now you can get Disney Plus and Hulu for just $4.99 a month for 3 months with a special limited time offer. Ends March 24th. After 3 months, plan auto renews at $12.99 a month. Terms apply.
Hey everyone, welcome to this edition of Spin a Shuffle Skip on the There Can Only Be One podcast channel. Now, I know I've said it on this podcast a number of times, I am a musician, so when you get an album from an artist who is a monster musician like Carlos Santana, it is hard to not get hype for the album that you are about to cover. And here to join me, I'm sure at equal levels of hype, Lyle Robertshaw's back on the show. Lyle, how you doing, man?
I am so excited, Jason. I love this album. I love Santana, and I love almost every single guest he brings on for this album.
I've
been wanting to cover it for a while, so this moment has finally arrived.
That's the thing. Like whenever we prepare for doing a bunch of these episodes all at once, it's one of those things where we both kind of bring a few albums to the table, and I didn't even know this one existed. And I gotta say, I am super stoked. Having listened to it now, I am really looking forward to going through this collection of songs.
It is just an absolute mishmash of the most random people you'd ever expect to be in a room together doing a tribute album to some of the best guitar songs of all time. On paper, it's fantastic.
Oh yeah. And when it comes to Carlos Santana, I mean, obviously you can't argue with the guitarist, but listen to the number of guest musicians on this album. Chris Cornell, Scott Weiland, Rob Thomas, Inya Ari and Yo-Yo Ma, Chris Daughtry, Nas, Chester Bennington, Ray Manzarek, of course, from The Doors, Jacoby Shaddix from Papa Roach, Pat Monahan, Gavin Rossdale, Joe Cocker, and Johnny Lang. Damn. Damn.
This album flies under the radar for a lot of people. There's not a lot of people I've met that know this exists. It came out in the early 2000s, I believe, 2010. And it's just this little gem, this diamond in the rough that I've had on repeat for well over a couple of decades now.
All right, let's give you a little bit of background on this Santana and Friends album. Released September 21st, 2010, hit number 1 in Poland and number 5 on the Billboard 200. It is platinum in Poland and Portugal. There were 7 singles off of this one. Photograph, featuring Chris Daughtry on vocals. Yeah, it's a Def Leppard cover. Hit number 14 on the Bubbling Under Hot 100. And, the album is called The Greatest Guitar Classics of All Time. I don't know if I'd put Photograph on there as the greatest guitar classics of all time, but when you take a look at some of the songs, I mean, you've got Led Zeppelin covered, you got the Stones, Cream, AC/DC, The Doors, Deep Purple, Van Halen, Jimi Hendrix. That's a whole lot of guitar mastery coming in there.
Oh, it is. It really is. And I always joke you should call it the greatest guitar intros of all time, because that's it feels like that's what they were going for. Are some of these songs the greatest guitar songs of all time? No, but they all have this insanely hooky intro where you know exactly what you're getting into. So I think it's more like the greatest guitar intros of all time.
Yeah. How many of these songs could be put on the Can I Help You list from any guitar shop?
Yeah, basically.
All right. Well, let's get to our spin, shuffle, and skip picks. Lal, your spin from Guitar Heaven, the greatest guitar classics of all time, featuring Carlos Santana and multiple friends.
There are combinations in life that you look at and they just work. Peanut butter and jelly, for example. The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin, another good example. One of the finest musical examples of that, when these two people are in anything together, you simply have to sit down and check it out. It is Rob Thomas and Santana. Smooth is one of the catchiest songs ever written by man. It is a song that is on every playlist I think I have. It is my boat song forever. Whenever I'm on the boat with my friends, Rob Thomas and Santana are getting whipped out. And the other one is this song from this album, their cover of Sunshine of Your Love. It is so good. I don't know what it is. I think it's just his voice lends itself so well to Santana's playing style. I don't know the science of it, but it just works on a metaphysical level.
I think part of the problem of this album is that many of these songs are so well known and so covered.
Yes.
Some of these songs are staples of every single cover band out there that you go see at the bars.
You could put this like album track list cover to cover, and if a cover band came out and played this exact track list, I would not be surprised.
No, exactly. Like, I know I've played a few of these songs live because you know what? They're staples. I know I've played Sunshine of Your Love live. There's parts of the original from Cream that I felt were kind of missing from this song. I do agree that Rob Thomas is perfect for this. Of everyone on this album, he's probably the best person to sing this song. And it's not a bad song. It just didn't make any of my picks.
Oh, I love this song so much. I love the combination of these two people. It's just, I wish they did a whole album together.
Which I'm surprised they didn't.
Yeah. Especially off the popularity of most everything they do.
Yeah. Like, do you imagine like going to the label and go, yeah, we really enjoyed, hanging out with Rob Thomas. Maybe we should do an album together. And the labels would just be like, yes.
Yeah.
Don't ever leave each other.
Money.
Yeah.
It would print money just from me. I would get every physical edition. I would get that on a track, and I don't even have any way to play it.
All right. I think I'm going to surprise you with my spin pick because you know
Really?
me and you know
Yes.
the music that I listen to. But every now and then you put two people together and you didn't necessarily know that they should have gone together, but holy crap, it's the perfect marriage. Because when you have a song that's got a real bluesy riff to it, like I Ain't Superstitious, a cover of the Howling Wolf song featuring Johnny Lang on vocals. You want to talk about a song that showcases both people?
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah. It is true. And it's almost the outlier on this album because this one dips into blues way more than anything else. This is an absolute banging blues track.
Yeah. I mean, it's right in Johnny Lang's wheelhouse. There's no question that he should have done this one. Santana on guitar on this. Like, normally you hear him, and yeah, you can hear little hints of blues here and there and some of his soloing. He went full guitar wankery on this, but in a really good way.
Yeah. It felt like he definitely whipped out his Stevie Ray Vaughan and put on his absolute best to try to like make it click. And it worked really well. There's not a song on this album where you could point at Santana and say that's the problem.
Yeah.
But there's not really anything in his entire body of work you can point at and go, yeah, that's not that good. He is a Mozart with an electric guitar.
When you consider that this song originally was recorded in 1961, released by Howlin' Wolf, written by Willie Dixon, it felt like a modern day Stevie Ray Vaughan. I was totally getting Stevie Ray Vaughan vibes off of this.
Absolutely. And funny enough, Santana, Stevie Ray Vaughan, and Angus Young of AC/DC are my three favorite guitar players of all time. And all three of them are represented in some way, I think, on this album with his blues turn here on this song.
Yeah. I mean, consider too that Jeff Beck's cover of the song was actually on Rolling Stone magazine's 100 greatest guitar songs of all time. And then you swap out Jeff Beck and you put in Carlos Santana. What did you expect?
Yeah, it's true. There's a lot of things here when you read it out on paper. You're just like, well, yeah, of course that's going to work. I don't even have to hear it. Like, of course, Chris Daughtry is going to do a perfect cover of Photograph by Def Leppard because it just makes sense.
Yeah. Then you get to my shuffle pick. And one thing that this album sadly kind of reminds us of is how many of these singers are no longer with us.
It's true.
Right? Scott Weiland, Chris Cornell, right? Like it's hard. It's hard to, Chester Bennington. It's hard to listen to some of these songs and not get sentimental and kind of wish that they were still around to make more music. Especially when you have Chris Cornell pairing up with Carlos Santana on Led Zeppelin's Whole Lotta Love. Like, we knew that Chris Cornell had a soulful voice, and we knew that he could do, pull off rock. You listen to the early Soundgarden albums. He sounds like Robert Plant on this.
Yeah, he does. This is one of the ones that I think is closest to the original version.
Mm-hmm.
That seems like, okay, we're not really doing our own thing. We're just going with the original material and emulating that as best we can. And like you said, when you have like a dynamic duo like that, of course they're going to do it justice and then some. Of course, Chris Cornell is going to do a fantastic Led Zeppelin cover. It just, like I said, it mathematically makes sense.
Yeah. The only thing I can say, and I think it actually helps the song, because I've gone through the Led Zeppelin discography already once, and I have a feeling, it feels like it, they did the song faster than the original, but I think I like it at this speed.
There's just, and it's not by much either.
No.
It's just a half turn of the dial, and it works.
Yeah, it's like an extra 10 beats per minute, but you'd be surprised how much you actually feel that.
Yeah, and how much it does play into a factor of just that little difference is enough. And it is not much. It is barely noticeable for anybody that isn't like familiar with the source material. I don't know how you couldn't be familiar with the source material at this point, but it's true. If you listen to both them side by side for any of the uninitiated, it would be like, I don't know what it is about this, but it's just that hint quicker.
Yeah. It's a little bit more up tempo. It's a little bit more upbeat, and it's a whole lot of Chris Cornell, and that's a good thing.
Always a good thing.
Over to you for your shuffle pick.
For my shuffle pick, I went with a cover of one of my favorite bands of all time, a band that me and you have covered together on There Can Only Be One. It is Santana and Scott Sapp doing Fortunate Son by CCR. What a vocal powerhouse this is right from the get-go. And his It Ain't Me, It Ain't Me. It is fantastic. It almost made the spin, if not with the cultural significance that is the tag team of Rob Thomas and Santana. But definitely a very close second is Fortunate Son.
I have to, you can sit there and make all the jokes you want about Creed. I get it, right? With all the posing and can you take me out? Scott Stapp's,
there will be no Creed slander on this podcast or any podcast that I'm a part of.
But that's the thing. Creed is actually a really good band. Scott Stapp is actually a really good singer. You want to know how good a singer he is? He did a side project from a band called The Art of Anarchy and was on an album called The Madness. And the first single of that one is so freaking good. And he's so good on it. And you also have John Moyer on bass from Disturbed. And you got Bumblefoot on guitar. And the Volta Brothers also in the mix as well. It's a fantastic freaking album.
Yeah, it's one of I put them very much in the category of Nickelback. It's fun to hate on them, but when they come on the radio, you're turning it up.
Yeah, I got nothing but love for Scott Stapp. I like the Creed albums. It's all good. I may be a bigger Alter Bridge fan than I am of Creed, but that's nothing against Scott Stapp. It's just musically the direction that Alter Bridge went.
Yeah, 100%. I could see them being more in your wheelhouse. And also one of the best wrestling theme songs of all time.
And having heard that live, wholeheartedly agree.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
All right, so now we get to your skip pick. And remember, this isn't necessarily a commentary on the song per se, but you got to pick a skip sometimes.
You do got to pick a skip sometimes. It's funny. I suggested this album to you, both to talk about it because I don't get to very much, but also because it's very funny. What I do think is an almost perfect album. Almost.
Almost.
And the one thing that makes it imperfect is a straight 0 out of 10. Is a song that I actually despise, both because I think it butchers the source material. It was the weirdest place to put this collaboration was to team it up with this particular song. Who the hell, while mixing this album, said, yeah, let's give Nos Back in Black? That is a travesty. It's an affront to nature. Is this song? How can you take AC/DC, not just one of the best bands of all time, in sales, in sound, in public appeal? You go to places where they don't have radios and people know who AC/DC is. One of the best selling albums of all time is Back in Black. It's up there in the top 5. It's over 1 billion with a B sales.
Mm-hmm.
The title track off that album, which is probably one of the greater guitar songs of all time, simply because the riff is now so famous, and you turn it into a rap song. What happened here? What was the decision-making process? It is my skip by a mile. It is literally the only blemish on an otherwise perfect album for me.
For the record, AC/DC's Back in Black is the second, according to Wikipedia, the second biggest selling album of all time, behind only Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Which makes sense. I am not going to sit here and play fanboy and say, well, it's better, it should sell more than Thriller. Michael Jackson. So there's not a whole lot of popularity. The Beatles, Taylor Swift, Michael Jackson, they're all up there in very, rarefied air.
Yeah. Now that, of course, is in American sales, but we could get, worldwide, but we don't need to throw more numbers at you. You know what the funny thing is? I got to that song and I'm just like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
But it kind of grew on me a little bit. I don't mind genre bending a song a little bit if it works. And I didn't hate this one. I think I liked it a bit more than you did.
Oh, there's a visceral hate on my end, I assure you. To me, this is like going in a church and putting Gatorade in the holy water bill. Like, it's just why? You have so much talent that lended itself so well to everybody else's versions of these songs. Why couldn't you get someone Brian Johnson-esque to come in and give you a turn on Back in Black?
And sometimes you want to throw a hand grenade in the kiddie pool and see the body parts fly out.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened here. It's a hand grenade in a kiddie pool, my kiddie pool, and it's my arm flying off the side of the pool. It's not fun for me. It also didn't help that when I heard this album, I was in high school and I was in my full, 80s rock is cool. I had an AC/DC belt buckle phase. So it was a part of my personality to hate this.
You say had? Still do.
Oh, it's still here. I just don't wear it around as much as a 30-year-old man.
How much of that, though? How much of this skip pick is based on the fact that you love the original?
I don't think it's just that. I just think that I don't have a problem with Nos being on the album. I even think that there's better songs if you wanted to turn them into like a rap style thing. You could have done it. Back in Black is just not one of them.
See, I think I asked that because my skip pick is based on the fact that the song in question, it's a good song originally, but even the original pales in comparison to a different cover, not the one off of this one. The best version of While My Guitar Gently Weeps, maybe it's the Canadian in me, the Jeff Healey Band.
Yep, they do a good one.
Version slays. This version featured India Ari on vocals and Yo-Yo Ma. Not so much. I think the biggest problem is in a song called While My Guitar Gently Weeps, guitar seems to be the furthest thing from the mix in this.
Yeah, I like that one more than Back in Black, but that one is a strange outlier as well.
Yeah, like this song, and that's the reason why the Jeff Healey version works so well. Jeff Healey goes to town on their version of this. This one, not so much. It feels almost like it needs to find a home in an elevator.
I think that's a perfect. Yeah, it is elevator music. It is salon music.
Yeah, I want to get my hair cut and then ride up, a couple of floors in the elevator listening to this. All right. Please remind our listeners what your spin, shuffle, and skip picks are from Guitar Heaven, the greatest classics of all time, featuring Carlos Santana and a whole bunch of talent.
My spin is Sunshine of Your Love with Rob Thomas. My shuffle is Fortunate Son with Scott Stapp. My skip, forever, maybe my lifetime skip, maybe the skip of every discography ever, is Back in Black by Nas, which hurts to say.
All right, my spin is I Ain't Superstitious with Johnny Lang. My shuffle is Whole Lot of Love featuring Chris Cornell on vocals. And my skip is While My Guitar Gently Weeps featuring India Ari and Yo-Yo Ma. Lyle, thank you so much for this. Now, please remind our listeners where they can find you out there on the interwebs and what you've been up to.
I am a producer at Anthem Sports and Entertainment, and my specialty, as with all things, is wrestling. So watch your TNA Impact Wrestling every Thursday night, now on AMC.
All right. And to you, our dear listeners, until next time, you know the drill. If there is an artist that you want us to cover on There Can Only Be One, or an album you want us to cover on Spin, Shuffle, Skip, or a bunch of number one songs that you want us to cover on Track One Mind, hit us up on social media at Only One Cast, or go to our website at notthatbadcast.com. And while you're there, make sure you check out our merch section, because we got a bunch of cool stuff if you want to help support the show. Until next time, he's Lyle, I'm Jay. You guys are awesome. This is Spin, Shuffle, Skip on the There Can Only Be One podcast channel and a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Take care.